Listen up or run for cover. Dropping knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. The real Robin Bradley Bombs is dropping
What it is, Bradley, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today, folks, in the studio, I've got a real treat for you. Brian Marc Zimberg. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, really phenomenal to be here. Just stepping in to drop bombs, seeing you in the flesh, ready to really transmit the next possibility of what it is to be a human being.
Yeah, I like that. Next level human. Hey, if you guys don't know who he is, Brian Marc Zimberg's like a legend in the freaking, spiritual seeking realm. He wrote a book called Stop, Smile, Breathe, Be. He coaches a lot of different people finding their centers and basically giving them the ability to take their life back in many ways. And he also, has a plethora of stories over the years. He used to be an actor, wrote his own film, has a film out. Man, there's just too many to list. So, folks, if you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. His Instagram is at Brian Marc Zimberg, MarcZimberg, Brian Marc Zimberg. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you, man.
And you got a program called Access Points.
Yeah, Access Points, the Modern Life Meditation Plan. Taking a look at doing another program like Unfuck Your Life and just get out of your mind. Stop letting yourself be a slave to mental slavery.
BrianMarc.com. That'll give you guys enough to, Google. Now let's get into dropping some bizzles.
Sounds
now,
good.
Have you ever heard dropping bombs before?
I have.
Me and you just going to shoot the shit, talk about problem situations, challenges, maybe come up with, full examples of how you got out of things or into things or what to avoid or what to move towards. And I think this is going to be a fire episode. You know why? Because I've already talked to you at length.
Yes, you have.
I've already talked to you at length, and that's when I said, dude, you need to come drop bombs for some of the bomb squad. There's a lot of people out there that can benefit from what you teach.
Let's do that. Let's drop some bombs that bomb your mind wide open. Blow your mind with a bomb.
Now, I've also installed some new sound effects.
Okay.
Because some of my guests say shit that just deserves a.
That's all.
So you don't want one of those.
Okay, we'll avoid those.
You want one of these. Okay, you really want one of these.
Oh, yeah.
And
combo, bomb, applause.
And perhaps.
Just rapid fire going at
That's because I forgot to drop a bunch of bombs, so I added a machine gun because basically a bomb means listen up.
Yeah.
Made a point.
Yeah.
Good point there. But sometimes we'll get to talking and, dude, I'll forget to drop bombs. So then I'll just wrap it up with a.
Cut that and it's ready for the next part.
Could do a.
Bomb.
But anyway, welcome to the show, bro. And
Thank you,
I
brother.
think the listeners are in for a real treat. Why? Because a lot of them get stuck. They get stuck. They don't know how to get out of the environment they find themselves in. They get, some of them are farther ahead than others. Some of them have a business. Some of them are pretty happy. They're just not happy enough. In other words, not happy. See, if you ask me, you're not happy or you're happy. There's not a I'm kind of happy. No. You're either happy or you're not in my book. It's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. I don't think there's I'm pretty happy. No. You're either happy or you're not.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those people in the world, and I know a lot of them are listening.
Yeah.
And I want to see if we can drop some bombs and get them unstuck, or as you say, unfuck yourself.
Yeah.
So before we do that, let's just give them a little background. Brian Marc Zimberg, son of a podiatrist.
Son of a podiatrist, that is true.
Upstate New York, Jewish.
No, Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
Jewish family.
Later on New York.
Full Jewish family?
Full Jewish
You had
family.
to wear the yarmulke?
No, we weren't religious in that way. We were more like a modern conservative. We would go to the high holidays, to temple, and we would, my dad started getting more religious as we got a little older, but that way he couldn't force us because we were all like, oh, fuck it, I'm going out with my friends. What are you talking about,
Yeah.
But
Traditional Jewish family?
bar mitzvah, high holidays.
But podiatrist, fairly successful.
Yeah, upper middle class lifestyle.
And he obviously they were grooming you to go to school.
They were grooming me to, doctor, lawyer is usually the mental focus of the Jewish parents, and my life had bombs dropped that was not reality. So
yeah. So what happened?
So first of all, I'm raised in a household where my parents were into, self-help. They were some of the early people to certify with Anthony Robbins. So they were working as practitioners in that. Even though my dad's a doctor, my mom's doing stuff. They were always battling with weight loss. So I grew up in that paradigm, right? I still have that mental game in my mind, which so many have about, I'm not eating right. I'm getting the fat and how I got to look better. I can hear that play out in my mind, but I just don't buy into that. Mm-hmm. But that was part of that upbringing. And then also just surrounded by self-help books and so on. So raised with the belief system, you can do anything you want to do in life. And I bought into that. I bought into that at a young age.
Do you believe it's the question?
I do, but the problem is if we're only just believing that, then that becomes part of this identity carrot of the idea of who we think we have to be when we grow up, that we have to seek and chase.
Yes.
Right? Which what's really cool with millennials right now is you see how there's faults with millennials obviously too, right? But if you look at the idea that I'll just do this and be in debt and then be in this box is makes no fucking sense to them right now. Thank goodness, right? Because this conditioning, but it had to happen, everything has to occur. Everything
listen, I'm going to get a lot of hate for interrupting. So I don't want to interrupt the story. Let's go back. You're off on another tangent right now.
Yeah.
Let's get you back on the one line so we can get up to, and then we can go off on all these stories because I love the stories. Yeah. Your parents were self-help. They introduced you to Tony Robbins.
Right. So we'll go right into the main story. Yes. So at 18 years old, I'm already got into the University of Michigan. I'm about to go on my senior cruise, and we are going to an Anthony Robbins event. 200 people then, not thousands. And we were going to walk over hot coals the first night, right? So they put up the trucks outside with all the wood going down, light everything up at the beginning of the night, go through this whole evening of building rapport and energy, walk over the hot coals. But because I was there with my parents volunteering, I walked over the hot coals 10 times.
You've already done it before?
No, first time, 18 years old, in school.
Oh, you mean you did it 10 times the same day?
Yeah, I just kept going, Maybe it's an exaggeration in my older mind now. Maybe it was 5, 6 times, but it wasn't once, right?
Because your parents were volunteering and they were kind of on the inside.
Yeah, plus you were able to go through, and there was a young girl there. I held hands with, went on across. It was
200 people there, not thousands like now.
200 people there, right? So Robbins was there seeing your eyes before you walked over those hot coals himself, which I think he still maybe even do, right? So the whole thing is about what? Rapport. Right? They does a thing where you sit down, a group of people ask the person what they're feeling, and someone else, they adjust the other person, and they have the same word they say. And if they don't, they'll adjust the other person, and they'll say the word the other person said. So in that, after walking over hot coals, it did blow my mind. It blew my mind. And then he's talking about rapport and connectivity. So the founders of neurolinguistic programming, which, Anthony Robbins was first trained and based on, right, was that they would say that there is a such thing as hypnosis and there's no such thing as hypnosis. So it's all a trance, and none of it's a trance. It's all the program. Or like you were saying earlier today, we're buying into the program, or maybe we're choosing the whole program, right? But there's both. So in walking over hot coals, there was a drop of my identity. What I had identified now after years and years of my journeying and self-help and spiritual and just coming to finally rest and being myself and loving my family and being vibrantly alive, enjoying life, was that there was always a notion of what that looks like. So when you and I talk about some of this stuff, you think I'm pointing to this Zen spiritual myth or idea of what people have about spirituality, which is why I really want to break the whole idea of what you think meditation and spirituality even is. Or like I said, in the 70s, people working out, no one was working out. Person jogging looks like a weirdo. And then all of a sudden people are into athletics, into aerobics, going to the gym. It's the same thing for the expansion of our own consciousness. To have the sovereignty of your own awareness and recognize what is your true power for real.
Now let's break it down, the word sovereignty.
Yeah.
Okay, when someone hears, that, a lot of people be like, what?
Yeah. So to have the clarity of your allegiance not being based on what you were told life is, right? We have this individual mind trance. We are told our name. What are you going to be when you grow up?
That's the sovereignty.
No, I'm getting to what the sovereignty is. There's the winning, there's the losing, there's the right, there's the wrong, based on society, our teachers, our parents. We rebel against that at some point. All that building this identity of who you are and what life is about.
Mm-hmm.
That narrative.
That domestication.
Great. Very good. Exactly. Very good. Very good. That training, right? Boom, boom, there, that's the right one. That training has had us, living life through this scope.
Yes.
Which is fine. That was part of being alive and going through the journey of your life, your movie, this expression of God of life. But the trapping of that is it's always based on survival.
But if it was my movie, I'd hit rewind and figure out what the fuck sovereignty means.
Right. So in that rewind, thank you, is that sovereignty is then to not have your moment-to-moment life based on the narrative of the media, the narrative of your mind based on only the past, right? 90% of our thoughts are regurgitated thoughts from the past, from the time before and before and before. Mm-hmm. So we're all living in that. Sovereignty is to no longer let the mind, the past, fear or ideas or myths of what you think something is run you.
There you go. That's sovereignty.
But to actually...
Because I've heard of sovereign nation.
Exactly.
What's sovereign?
Yeah, so the word sovereign, we could look up the exact same word what word is sovereign.
Let's do real quick.
Yeah, let's look it up. So
define sovereign.
So that way
as a noun, it means a supreme ruler, especially a monarch. Do you want to hear the next one?
That's awesome. So for you to know your divine connection to the infinite, to God, to whatever you want to call that, right? The greatest core of what you truly are, and then into your own DNA, into the expression of being the human being that you are at the next level, mm-hmm. isn't based on anyone else's narrative, including what you think the mind is saying. You are not who you think you are.
Define sovereignty.
I found this on the web.
She doesn't rule that. So basically, when you say a sovereignty, when you just use that in a sentence,
yeah,
ultimately means to be in total control over yourself.
Yeah,
a ruler, the king of your own realm.
Yeah, but
in control. Yes or no?
Okay, no.
So what does it mean to you? Because
Okay,
that's what it says there.
Okay, great. So, yes. To not be influenced by other narratives, including your own mind's narrative, which is based on the past and your trauma and your fear and your worry about the future.
And once you have that ability, you've achieved some sovereignty.
Yeah, once you're able to actually be in life where you are, because you are here.
Yeah.
You're not in the future. You can't give me the future. You can't give me the past. But when we're addicted to our mind, which is always goes due first, then our reaction or our programming is all based on the matrix.
Yep.
But when we recognize, and this is the next evolution of what it is to be a human being, that we can actually exist moment to moment with our attention rooted in the aliveness that you are, that you're alive. Right? People talk about gratitude, to be grateful that you're alive.
You can operate in that.
You can operate in that moment to moment. And
if you can
it's
operate,
not Zen guy that.
No. If you can operate in that moment,
yeah,
your life's going to be drastically different.
Correct. Relationships, instead of being by the filter of the reactions.
You can keep talking through the bomb.
Relationships, instead of being based on the upbringing, the dynamics that you were taught, learned, and the people around you, the training ground of what's already affecting you and how you are in your reactions, your pains, your worries, and all that, when brought to awareness, allow you to stop reacting from the filters of the past, the compartmentalization, we call that as one of the top 5 patterns and access points. The compartmentalization is the labeling and the dissecting, the argument, the more data, information to go to the compartment of the past so that the mind can reference, all based on, am I safe? Am I okay?
Am I surviving?
Am I surviving? All based on fear. So
but that's built into us.
That's built into us. So it had to happen.
You've codified it.
Right. Well, I've been able to point people to the process of releasing from being a survival animal, where my addiction to my mind as reality runs me, where we can actually be trained out of our mind.
That's right. Trained out of our mind. That's a good one. That should be on a t-shirt.
Yeah. So, in my stories, we'll go back to my story a little bit. It'll always come back around with me, by the way, even if I go around, it'll come back. My story is that I had to go out of my mind. I think the chapter in my book is I went out of my mind to be able to train you out of your mind, right? So when I had that experience then, if I look back and Anthony Robbins walking over hot coals, I then started to speed up, right? I started thinking my girlfriend and I were going to go on a world cruise and, a little delusional, but also in rapport and beauty and love. It's just like, right? No psychedelics, just, looking back, there was no one to support me in that. Now, like what I know now, what I would support someone in that is recognizing that realization didn't have to move to the mind. Okay, the speed of the mind was going faster, right? Because I'm high, right? You're up, the speed's going faster. In bipolar episode, the chemicals go so high, I could burn a hole in the brain. Okay? Now, if someone there was supporting me to let go of that whole mental and just stay with the connectivity part, would have been a wham, boom, boom. But that took another 20, 30 years for me, right? And in that, I got walked over hot coals. My parents worried about me. I'm running away from home. I'm in this high, right? As if you took it's chemical. So as if you took like a psychedelic. I'm in this high, but in the high of such beauty, such connectivity, such positivity, such love.
Serotonin induced?
Probably, yeah, going over the hot coals and that, right? So then, but I end up where my parents are worried about me because I'm threatening to jump out of the car, get away from them. I wasn't going to jump out of the car. I knew that. But to scare them, to get rid of them, I was pretending I would, right? Their fear in that had me meet in a hotel with a psychologist who was a friend of theirs, knew Anthony Robbins, they know these people, right? So they're like, well, it might be a manic episode, give them lithium, try this out. And then eventually, as it went on for a week, they had my cousin kind of take me to the hospital and kind of sign myself in. I kind of vaguely remember that, right? The next thing I really recall from that is awakening in this psych ward, which turns out to be one of the worst ones then.
Flatbush, New York?
No, again, not New York, Detroit. So Beaumont Hospital, I think Southfield, Michigan.
Hey,
right?
For some reason when I look at you, though, I just think, Flatbush, New York.
I'm 12 years in New York, and I got, Jews, Italians, we got that same kind of vibe, energy, right? So walk over hot coals, and reality's changing, sign into the hospital. I wake up, and my body's cramping. Like I'm in pain. Like they're giving me Haldol. They're doping the heck out of me. So whatever high I was on the week before, I snapped out of it. Because I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm 18, like life's great, and all of a sudden, like I just snapped out of wherever that high was.
Well, hold on though, because you went. It sounds like they had you committed, damn near.
Exactly. So I'm
okay. So what for? What did you do? You were going to jump out of the car? That's it?
Yeah, they're just concerned about me, and maybe I'm in a whatever.
Were you lashing out?
No. No violence, no
lashing out. So you're just driving along. The whole world's happy. You just got back from Tony Robbins. You're pumped up. You're fired up. And then something made you tell your parents, hey, fuck you. I'm going to jump out of the car. And they said, wait a minute.
No, I didn't just say I'm going to jump out of the car. I'm running to be with my girlfriend, leaving. They can't keep a tab on me because they think they have to.
Okay, so you're running amok in
I'm
their
running
eyes.
amok. I'm going to the airport. I think the ATM's going to give me money, right? So I'm believing the false. This is what I recognized later through all this. I'm believing the false narrative of my mind then, right? That's all that was. The energy, the mind's going faster. And if I'm still believing that, that's just even more incoherent.
Yeah,
right?
But just to bring it down to a story level.
Yeah.
Something caused your parents to throw you in the old nut house.
Okay, so that was within a week, okay?
So what happened? What did you do? You thought money was going to come out of an ATM when it clearly
No.
wasn't?
I was living... That week was on this high of like, and believing, no hallucinations, nothing like that, right? But just believing reality is this whole thing that's occurring, right?
Yeah.
And speeding up, running away from home, so leaving the house, just very worried.
So they were afraid you were about to leave.
Not sleeping for days in a row, which is what people do, and that's
no drugs?
Going on. No drugs.
Dang.
So it triggered what they would call a manic episode, a one-time break with reality, because it didn't happen until 11 years later.
And it was spawned by Tony Robbins' event.
Spawned by going to the hot coals, right?
Okay, so you went there, you got freaking really pumped up because, dude, I've been to Tony's. A lot of people have been changed by old Tony.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get pumped up. I didn't know that you could stay up for days without drugs, though. But so you got fired up, and then you started probably bouncing off the walls, essentially. And your parents said, wait a minute, talk to my friend and convinced you to check yourself into a little what?
Well, yeah,
was it a rehab?
No. First, it was talk to this guy. He said she needs lithium. Since I wouldn't take the medicine, they're like, okay, let's get him into Beaumont Hospital, the psych ward there, where they would help give me the medicine I need to come down and whatever evaluate. Right.
Could you have left if you wanted?
Once I was signed in, which was more foolery because I didn't even know where I was kind of at. I'm gonna like, it speeds up. So after a while, I was in a disoriented space, you could say, right?
Okay.
Once I'm signed in. This is where, like, that movie Francis with Jessica Lange, right? Like, if my dad didn't get a lawyer 3 days later and have to threaten the psychiatrist, it's like, I really want to continue to look at him. I'm not sure if this is, he's safe and what's going on. And, if my dad would have believed that, then you'd have to go to court to get me out, and you'd have to prove that and they would say recommend the state hospital. You know what the state hospital is like? You could be fucked for life.
Yeah, so you could have been fucking sucked into the system.
I could have been fucked for life, right? So check in, snap out. I'm having this like pain, and my thoughts are like really slow, right? Because they've drugged me up. I'm seeing these crazy people, older people, and everything's slow. I'm like, what the fuck? Is like talk about coming out of a dream. It's not fucking into a nightmare. What the fuck is going on? And my only response was, I knew they're doping me. They're giving me this pill, that pill. I would start fake taking the pills. Okay, so I'm not like everything's perfect. I'm not on that high anymore, right? The reality of that snapped me out. Now I'm Brian, ready to get the fuck out of here. What the fuck's going on with my intelligence? Fine, but like I'm not feeling really weird. But okay, fuck this. So who do you reach to at 18 years old? You reach to your parents, mom, dad. They're doping me up here. Get me out of here. I'm allowed that phone call. Just take the medicine, Brian. You'll be okay.
That's what they said.
18 years old. You turn to your parents, come help me, mom and dad. Just take the medicine. You'll be okay. All right, we got to go. You'll be okay. After a week of dealing with me with the other thing or whatever, 2 weeks, whatever it was. So talk about sovereignty, right? There's something in yourself that says something, that knows something, right? Some clarity. It was like, they're doping me up. Stop taking this stuff. So what I did was I need to create a ruckus to get my fucking parents here so they can see how fucked up I look and what's going on with me. So I go to the pool table and take the balls there. Again, conscious, knowingly, that the glass there is this thick. I'm going to create a ruckus, and the plan was that would make them call my mom and dad, and I'll get to see them in person, not on the fucking phone. We'll talk to you soon. I'm trapped in this fucking place. Get me out of here. But that didn't work that way. That was like two orderlies grab me, shove me in a room, the bare mattress on the ground, mesh metal on the windows.
Yeah, fucked yourself worse.
Yeah.
Now you don't get any of the day room privileges.
Well, I didn't even know what that was yet. But yeah. Exactly. And then door shuts, mattress, no sheet on it. I'm laid down in a fetal position. The speaker goes, "If you're a good boy, we'll let you out." The most condescending voice that the agitated me had ever fucking probably heard. That
was it a real voice or you just heard that?
No. I wasn't hearing things. There was no.
So they said that.
I didn't have any hallucinations.
So some orderly got on the mic and said, "Hey, if you're a good boy, we'll let you out."
Yeah, the nurse,
okay,
the head nurse in charge of me taking my meds and whatever the deal is. This was over 3 days, right?
All right.
So I'm laying there in fetal position on that mattress and think I'm gonna die. What the fuck am I doing here? What happened in my life? There's no way. It's like the hell of a hell of a hell. It wasn't bad enough. I was already in hell. Couldn't reach out to my parents. I'm alone. And now I'm in this room within a room. In this fetal position on the mattress, rocking back and forth. And something just deep inside of me said, "You're going to be okay." And that became like a mantra, then like a knowing. I was like rocking back and forth.
Do you think that was you, the real higher self, that said that to you?
Yeah, to me, I would say that was like the first time that I really met God in that way, like some deep sense that no matter what, you're okay. You're going to get out of this, Brian, is what I heard from God.
So you felt serenity, peace.
Yeah. I knew that I was going to be okay and that I was safe. What happens next? On the fetal position, rocking the mantra, "You're going to be okay." But that knowing let all the other stuff vanish and go away.
Sure.
And then my dad did come the next day. He said if he would have brought my grandma, who he brought in, and she would have saw me, she probably would have had a heart attack and died then because they had me doped.
What were y'all drawn in? And
they had me just doped up and cramping and slow-minded. My dad loved me so much. He got me the heck out of there. They had to talk to a lawyer. Like the psychiatrist wanted to keep me and, evaluate me a little more.
Yeah, fuck that.
My dad got me out of there. He let me drive home. Even on the meds like that, he let me drive home because he knew that like something in like the strength of me could handle it, and I had to know that I was okay.
Yeah, dude, that sounds scary shit, man.
So that didn't happen again for like 11 years later. So they just call it a one-time break with reality. But the point is that happened 2 more times. 11 years later with Landmark Forum.
Let's talk about Landmark Forum. But before we do that, see again, I mean, this might end up being a freaking 10-hour episode. But before we talk about Landmark, because that's a whole discussion I want to talk about. You went to the Tony Robbins. You went in there. Now your dad got you out. Okay, yeah. You're what, 19?
Yeah, I'm 18, about to go to college.
Okay.
So
this happened before college.
Yeah, so I go meet with a doctor. They're going to maybe put me on like lithium, which is by the way a salt compound, which they use for like seizures.
They think you have a mental disorder of some kind.
Right, maybe bipolar. They don't know, but I don't take my meds. Go to school, and they then determine it's a one-time break with reality.
That's what they said.
Yes, it was a one-time break with reality.
Probably because they couldn't explain anything else.
Yeah. So looking back from where I am now, I know that if I was just nurtured, just stop believing the fucking mind. It's all nonsense because it's all wound up from the energy of this power that you don't know how to handle yet.
Yeah.
And I could have just gave my attention to just the simple sense of.
Yeah, but nobody knew, bro.
Exactly.
Your parents didn't know.
They didn't know. Robbins' team didn't know. You know, that wasn't meant to be the unfolding, right? I meant to discover that later. But what I did discover in these things is that, well, first of all, in the hospital, what I discovered was that there's something that I can trust no matter what. That was the first time. But since the programming of who I believed I was is more powerful than that one moment, then my life was still about, okay, I'm okay. At core, I'm okay. But now I got to prove I'm okay, right? Back into like work out and succeed in school and have a business by the time I'm 18. I left to go be an actor. So I ended up going to college, right? Tell the story straight. Go to college, but you know, I'm in a frat, half-assed because my brother was. People drinking, getting laid, you know. But I just was like fighting for my life 6 to 8 months ago. So it's like, and I always wanted to act. So within a year and a half of University of Michigan, I went to New York City, found the best acting teachers, and jumped. I went to go do that from a childhood of being the jock. And
how old were you?
I was 19.
See, now, when I was 19, I believe, I'd have to double check, but right around there, I thought I was moving to New York to be an actor.
Yeah.
Till I was there for 2 weeks and said, oh, I don't like New York. I'd rather be an actor in L.A. Yeah. But you were alone in the city at 19?
Yeah, so...
that's heavy duty, dude. That's a big city, dude.
It's a big city. And in the respect to my parents, like their soul or their goodness that always has that support of your children, you know? Even though they wanted me to be the doctor lawyer, stay in University of Michigan, you know, I'm living the plan of what I'm supposed to do. My mom and dad still drove me to New York to audition, to get into that acting conservatory. You know, the whole time I was like, you know, being a lawyer is still acting, right? But this was me following my heart because I knew I was from that okay experience, right? Mm-hmm. But it still didn't stop, looking back now, the need to prove that I'm okay. Right? The need to prove that I'm okay to the world, to others, by accomplishing in business, by accomplishing what I'll do, by being a millionaire by the time I'm 27.
Why 27?
It's just this notion that I had that if I would have finished school at the time I did, started a business or gone into like being a lawyer, like those years would have gone. But it was when I was 27 that. So before I'm this age where I would have got there anyways, if I'd done the plan, I better be there, right? There was still that fear running the show, right, of survival. Mm-hmm. I was creative. I made a movie. I told you I had summer storage business at universities. Later on, made the movie.
Dog Run.
That's right, Dog Run. Once I realized, I told you the summer storage at universities was a business that just picked up students' belongings, put in storage, brought back to them. And took the train from New York to University of Philadelphia, came back with a fanny pack with 20 grand in it. So I was still chasing the dollar. I had to chase the success because I had to prove, like you were saying earlier, but I had to prove that what my choices were was to leave school, that I could still make it and do it and be it. Mm-hmm. Right? Same with working out. And so that self-help mentality of that I'm going to be better. But eventually, the slavery of that became revealed.
And when did this get revealed?
So once I realized I don't want the summer storage business to be my next 2-3 years, I was about to have investment from some people on the stock market. They were going to help launch me nationwide at 30 universities. People who copied us are in business still today. Nationwide summer storage for students, you know. But I left college to act because something in me was calling me. So now I'm just chasing. I realized I was just chasing it.
Yeah.
And I would lie to my acting teacher, Uta Hagen, to go to make the money at the universities and then have to talk my way back into class, you know. But all of that training led me to just go raise money and make my own movie. I was like, why am I going to audition and do all that? I was going to start going into business. I'm just going to make a movie. And I came up with this idea, and my partner, my friend, and I, we co-wrote it together. And
go Google Dog Run trailer, and you'll see the trailer. It's pretty good. It looks good.
Yeah, I got it. Dreadlocks and a nose ring. So, you know, I gave myself the best role I could possibly have. I mean, I loved acting. When I first got there, I wanted to be famous, but then I wanted to be into the art of acting, and I took movement and voice, and I was committed. You know, I walk around as my character, method acting, you know, idolized the greats like Brando and Pacino, and, you know, I was devoted to being great at that first. And then I realized later that those moments that you die for in art is life. You can have that kind of life be your art.
Well, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you know what to pay attention to.
So you eventually quit acting, obviously.
Yeah, so I raised the money. We made the movie, went to Hollywood. My plan was make the movie, like I said to you earlier, I'll be a dreadlock guy, right, with nose ring. I'm a heroin addict. I gave myself the best acting role I could possibly have anyways. You'll see, I'm a dreadlock, nose ring, heroin addict, street kid who's prostituting his girlfriend. You know, that's a juicy role to play.
Yeah.
Right? Wrote the second screenplay where I'm going to be like the leading clean-cut guy. Saw what Dustin Hoffman had done from Graduate to Ratso Rizzo, Sean Penn from Fast Times at Ridgemont High to, what do we say?
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, Rough Tough. Show the diversity and show people I'm ready, I'm arrived. And I did. I went to Hollywood, wrote my next script. Film came out in festivals, got signed by agents, was about to have Leonardo DiCaprio's management companies taking me out to dinner. Right, Brian Singer, who just did Usual Suspects. I'm having sushi with him and an agent because they're all smoozing on me. Because if Miramax buys my film, I got a 3-picture deal. They don't got to do anything, those agents. They just got three pictures by representing me. So I got to see this phoniness. And at the same time, I was invited to take mushrooms in the desert, and I was anti-drug. So I was very scared to do that, didn't want to. But that moment in the desert and the come down of a 6-8 hour mushroom trip, wow. You know, and I'll tell you, everyone's had this. This is what everyone doesn't realize, that there's a moment in nature we all have, right? Like right now, you can remember a time when you were out in nature where it just blew you away. Like literally, people could close their eyes right now if you're not driving a car. And just picture a moment where you were in awe, right? Like a great canyon, it's coming over the PCH highway. Take that turn and it's like, oh, like you're gonna fall off the cliff almost. There's just that awe. In that moment, before your mind even says it's beautiful, there's connectivity, there's peace, there's perfection. So that moment has to be accessible all the time. So in Joshua Tree, in that moment, on the come down, it was the first time from the training of who I am, right? The notion of God is that he's like this man up in the sky. I think when I was young, he was this toy soldier, you know, the little green soldiers that you'd have?
Sure.
So I think I remember I was picturing God as this big green soldier, plastic soldier, you know? But the man over there, and in that moment of that direct experience was that, oh, it's fucking all of it. It's consciousness, energy, whatever it is, that's God. Oh my God. And so then I got devoted to seeking that. And I realized in Hollywood, the phoniness and all of it was about just promoting me. And I really wanted to know more of that. And so from there, I started to meditate, do self-realization fellowship, Paramahansa Yogananda, learn how to go to your third eye, all these things, right? So that's where I ended up doing landmark in that. But all these things, so I could meditate 3 hours a day. I learned how to go into bliss. I could have mystical things happening.
What kind of mystical things?
Okay, so, well, I'll backtrack. So I take some psychedelics with a friend, and I do landmark around that time. And Landmark, again, ultimately is letting you see that your identity of who you think you are, again, if a main theme here would say, the real question to ask you, the audience out there, is, are you who you think you are? Is there a thought, a label, a concept that really can define and capture who you really are?
Well, most people have no clue of who they really are, let alone being able to make that statement.
Exactly. So their addiction is to the thoughts, the concepts based on the past of this is who I am. I am, I think, therefore I am. Right? Is this old, I forget where it comes from philosophy, but it's I am, therefore I think. Right? So recognizing we don't have to live from that space. So in Joshua Tree, that realization of that made me seek. Right? So now the guy who was chasing the film deal, right, so on and so forth, that had the chutzpah or the cojones or whatever to go after it and go for it, still based on the ego that has to prove himself. 27 years old, I'm going to go be famous, right? No problem, not wrong. But now to me, it's like a false sense of passion, because there's a passion based on when I get that, I'll be happy. When I'll get that, I'll be on my purpose. I'll be fulfilled. That's what I must do to be who I need to be. So the first opening is in the hospital. You're okay. The second opening is in Joshua Tree Desert. I do Landmark Performance, another break of identity. So I go into another one of those things 11 years later. They're like, well, that doesn't make sense. If people are bipolar, usually it's a couple of years apart, but 11 years later, that's really unheard of.
So Landmark, basically, I know it's a program that's out there, been out there, helped a lot of people from what I hear. And then I also hear other people say, oh, that shit's cult.
Yeah.
But regardless of what people's opinion is, I always like to form my own. And since I haven't been there, I'll take your word for it temporarily. What in a nutshell is it? A self-help training organization?
So let's see if we plug Landmark in a positive way.
I mean, they don't teach you sales.
No, I think I would. So what? Right, but so borderlines on Anthony Robbins, and then into maybe.
So
sales.
they teach self. Fix yourself and the whole world gets better. Yeah,
well, not as so kumbaya as that. More about these are the dynamics of who you think you are and how you're programmed, and this is how you can start reprogramming your life. Like that, the basis of who you are is not your past going into the future. That's one of the technologies they say, is that your past is stuck in your future, right? So remember
bring it, don't you?
Exactly. So remember like the movie The Jerk.
Yeah.
Right? Remember the jerk and he's leaving? I don't need you. I just need this chair and this dog. And remember that part?
Ping pong paddle. Exactly. And these glasses.
Exactly.
And this ashtray.
Right.
That's all I need.
So unconsciously, we're all taking all that shit from the past and we're just keep throwing it into the future. So they're saying that the future is creating the present. Right? Because my thoughts, word, and action create, and they're throwing into the future.
Which cause your current reality.
Current realities. But I keep throwing all the chair.
That's an interesting
dog,
concept.
Right? And that they talk about that the past, present, it's been a while, past, present, future are actually like linear. They're dots. They're not, right? But anyways, Landmark's amazing. I think Landmark gets people to this moment of, did you get it?
To me, I call that awareness. So they're making people aware that there might be another solution or answer. And
then they hand you the bag of tricks on how to go function in life and be your best self and create yourself and so on and so forth. Okay?
Would you say they helped you?
They're amazing. After I became a teacher and I did all this stuff and I went through this drop in my life where I kind of destroyed my life and came back into clarity and stuff, and then got married and had kids and grounded and started teaching stuff on a different level. I went back and did it again. Because there's like the Forum, Landmark Forum Advanced, and then they have a bunch of other stuff. So the problem with them is that they've done the infomercial, they've done the other stuff. I don't know what they're doing now, so I'm not an expert on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like involved in it for years. But I know that part of their thing is learning how to enroll people in your vision, right? So that's
selling.
Right. So the third thing in self-expression leadership, you take on a project in life that's going to affect others and community, right? So anyways, the point is, what I do think they're amazing at is teaching you how to create from that space. The problem is they only show people how to be in that space once, and then that's kind of like, now here, go be like this. Mm-hmm. At least to me, I don't know. I can't.
But you took something out of it. There's some value there.
Yeah, but what happened to me that first time is by the end of the weekend, I'm upstairs in the boardroom talking to people and saying that God created the bird, God created the word, and I'm in one of these things that happened from the Anthony Robbins thing, And so I got to be hospitalized again.
Again?
But I'm hospitalized 11
Hold on. Again?
Yeah, 11 years later.
So dude, for some reason, these self-help experiences
Right, they
and
pop-
awarenesses
That's right.
are
me.
Yeah, they're causing some sort of
Right. And they're causing these psychedelic profound highs, right? Like these mountaintop highs. The chemicals are going. That's literally chemically what's going on. But now, because of my growth and understanding, that one was like just a deeper trust in life, you know? So I do go hospitalized 3-4 days. They give me a medicine. I come right down. That's it. But it was at the UCLA hospital, the best psych ward in the world. And I swear I just heard God saying, go in here. You're meant to go in here. I'm doing arts and crafts, playing basketball, smoking. It was like the gift of healing from the hell of hell that I was in, being doped up in some torture zone, right? 12 years earlier, 11 years earlier, into this arts and crafts, beautiful space. So I went through it again, but in that, I just started seeing so deeper. And I came out of that, and that's where I became even deeper seeking. But then I was with a therapist who said, you're balanced and everything's okay. But she would say, but you can hear your guides and stuff. So I had these mystical experiences, but I'm not crazy anymore because other people are having them in the room with me. So you and I would have a conversation, and my clarity would say, hey, turn to that book on page whatever. And while we were just talking about, the book would say that. And then a song would come on from Depeche Mode, and it would say the same thing. And the person's like, so I'd have a guy who was in gangs. He had a knife that he would always take with him every morning. And after one of these moments happened with us, a little non-ordinary reality happened with no drugs, right? All of a sudden he started forgetting his knife. Stopped taking his knife. He doesn't need it. He had a deeper trust in himself. So that was, and then I read Course in Miracles, other spiritual stuff, and that's what happens for people. But for 2 years inside, balanced, I was guided into kind of seeing. And my rabbi who bar mitzvahed me, my dad was like Orthodox Jew now, divorced my mother in Israel before he went to Israel, and he wanted me to come back to Judaism. I'm into Osho, Zen and stuff. Come back to Judaism, prove me that I'm wrong. And instead I sit down with this Chabad religious rabbi, and I tell him what like this inner clarity conversation that's gone on with me for 2 years. There's a line. It's kind of being heavy, head heavy. We got to get simpler here. But I tell him this line. He's like, who told you that? I'm like, well, kind of God. He's like, well, that's the essence of all Kabbalah. And what he said to me is, you got to recognize that you're Kabbalistic. You see the world in a different way. So I stopped believing the highs, right? So both of those things were what? They were breaks with the identity of myself. In the mind, like the biggest fear people have public speaking, they have a fear of death, a fear that they'll lose their mind. If you've ever done any psychedelic, there's that edge where you're about to step over. You're like, okay, there's a fear that arises, but you step over anyways, you take it.
Well, it's like that toad shit you want me to smoke.
That's completely up to
you. Yeah, but I'm having that same feeling. Like I think I want to, because I definitely love getting higher. It's like development. I love it. And it sounds like, dude, you go do that, you come back, you're gonna be the fucking even cooler. And I'll be like, damn. But it's the fear of losing my mind.
Exactly.
That makes me go, ugh.
Right. So I got the gift of seeing what losing my mind was, and then to recognize the sanity of believing my mind. So after that second experience in Joshua Tree, and after the years of spiritual seeking, doing workshops, meditating for 3 hours, going to bliss, showing other people how to be in bliss, marrying my first wife, all these synchronicities flowing, big smile.
Kama Sutra.
Yeah, Marianne Williamson was at the church when I went back to Michigan. It's like I lived out the Jewish life I should have left. I married a Jewish girl in Michigan, went back to Michigan, gone for 13 years.
Parents are happy.
New York, LA. Yeah, we had a big wedding. We went for it. They're like, well, you can take a down payment on the house the mother's like $30,000, or you guys can have a big wedding. We'll go for the big wedding. I'm going to be a millionaire anyways, right? We have a big wedding, the whole thing. But she's depressed, and I'm like blissed out. And I'm teaching other people how to be blissed out. And then something dawned on me that I read, like, just sit down and don't do anything. Stop seeking the frickin' bliss even. It's just the last doorway. It's another trip. Trying to be blissed out. To avoid what? Right? So we're all...
just being.
Right, or avoid, right, but avoid fear, right? So the animals, to the mind, it has to do, because it thinks, if I let myself go, if I just be, it won't be okay. But we don't even think in those terms, right? We're already trained to do. We don't explore being that you are. So right now, the question to ask the audience is, do you have to do anything to be? And I don't mean gates of heaven open kind of thing, just that you are. The simple sense that you are here right now. Do you have to do anything for that right in this moment, Brad?
No.
So our attention doesn't notice that. Like it's like our nose is in front of us, right? The mind's always one step out of reality. So again, like that moment out in nature, in that moment of that perfection, before you say how beautiful it is, or you turn to your friend, this is amazing, right? The mind always has to label that. So we're always moving a step out of reality, or like how Lamarck is saying, right? So if our regurgitated, science says 90% of our thoughts are regurgitated from the past. I started to notice that working with people for since 2002, that there's 5 main patterns that keep us stuck in this survival mode. So we're running from that fear. So when I recognize that what made me get trapped in a thought process, or on a psychedelic too, people get a bad trip. There is no bad trip. It's just that they're so stuck in the paradigm of the mind and that bad trip and seeing the bug, whatever it is, that they think that that's it. But I had that when I was young in that hell of hells, right? Mm-hmm. So after a while, I realized that there's no mind trip that can hold me. I don't have to believe my mind at all.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's right. If people would just recognize that, life changes.
Exactly, and it's a transformation. It's like water into sand. It's like the water's not doing anything, the sand's not doing anything, but they're meeting deeper and deeper. People are like, well, if I just be, what am I going to do? And that's what I mean by this myth of the ideas of meditation, all that. Forget the ideas of it. You're alive. Breath is happening moment to moment. Your heart's beating. Your cells are communicating. Life is occurring. And where the fuck is your attention? Your attention's on the complaint about what your life isn't or what's wrong with you and poor you, based on the past, based on the future, and trying to get it together. Avoiding fear, anxiety, loneliness, disconnect. Trying to hold it all together to hope that you get it to the next time, and then blaming yourself that you're wrong. The war of believing the mind, the constant battle with the armor, with the sword.
Exactly.
Too scared to be vulnerable to put it all down and actually trust life. Trust life.
So, and by the way, folks, this is what you can get more of by following him. Go get his book, Stop, Smile, Breathe, Be. Go to Brian Marc with a C, brianmarc.com, and start digging in. Because I think if anybody has this ability, I think I have it.
Yeah, you are already naturally from our conversations have started, like you told me there's some spots where you started to recognize more that like just makes some sense that being is first.
Well, yeah.
You know,
like when we first talked, you I'll bet you said, damn, this dude's more fucking aware than I thought.
Yeah, it's almost like you know someone else who might smoke ganja because like you meet them, you can just know, right? So, but you can't really know where someone is in their consciousness, the evolution of their own consciousness, you could say, right? So speaking about sovereignty, right? You found trust in yourself and in life. That is your sovereignty and your connection to the divine in life.
Yeah.
You found trust in that and your natural abilities more than believing the way you had to go do it.
Well, yeah. Right? Again, the way it's put, I would agree. See, I've never been able to identify or label it.
Right.
Like, see, what you've done is you've codified everything that's happened, and you've made sense of it.
Exactly.
And then discovered things. Exactly. And now you're passionate about helping other people make the same discoveries.
That's right.
Because you know what they're going to end up with when they do. If not more money, if not better relationships, if not, more happiness, well then at least more gratitude.
Satisfaction.
And at least less brain fucking.
That's right.
Because again, the mind plays tricks on us. Exactly. And there's a lot of people like, dude, I'm telling it is what I say. You tell me what you think.
No, that's right on. That's right on.
Yeah, but I say you don't find happiness, you choose happiness.
That's right.
It's a choice.
That's
like,
right.
And people always go, it's not a choice, dude. This happened to me, and am I supposed to be happy? If you choose to be, you would be. Because happiness is a choice. It's not something you find.
The thing is, and that's true, right? But then it becomes, so that's my whole question to people then. After all the stuff I journeyed and did, I saw that people who are meditating for 20, 30 years, they're still stuck in the same place. So the person who's just suffering with depression, anxiety, fear, anger, frustrated, wanting to hold it together, they're stuck in the same place. And that's the space of seeking.
And or not knowing. Right. Because like, let's say, for example, I'm listening to you and I say, okay, I understand. Let me just be. Okay, I understand that I can just be. I don't have to listen to the mind. I'm just going to be. Okay, okay, I'm being, but I don't like being.
Yeah.
Like I don't like this. Well then, what you're trying to say is, see, you're running back to that freaking construct of something has to be
That's
a
right.
way, and then what
That's
you would
right.
say is it's okay not to like that you're being, because
What-
some people are
that's
being
right.
broke, they're being hungry, they're being scared, they're being frustrated. Like
Sure.
like I don't, and I'm not the expert, but I'm saying, like, if I just sit there and be, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I understand that I can just be, then I think to myself, but I don't like sitting here doing nothing. I'm bored.
Yeah.
Isn't that the constructs coming back saying?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's what I've been trying to point out to you. So that's just a new construct of what it would be to be. Right? Like if I just be, how I'm going to brush my teeth, how I'm going to pay my bills. Well, the story's going to keep playing out.
Yeah.
It's going to keep rolling. So you, like you said, you have to choose happiness. The problem is choose happiness. If I'm stuck in the mind, then I'm still in the seeking, right? So the minute we're with our mind, we have to do something to have something to be something. So if I want to be loved, I have to do something to have the right relationship to be loved.
That's do have be
Yep,
when it should be do have.
exactly.
Now let's explain how to be, so you can do, so you can have.
Yeah. So
Now tell me what they currently do, folks. See if this sounds like you. Do have be.
yeah, so you wake up in the morning and you have a moment before you wake up, and you can start to identify this tomorrow morning, wake up. The alarm might go off or maybe something wakes you up, but before you fully engage the story of me, the lead in the movie, your movie, before you fully engage that, what I got to go do, right? Before you grab on, notice there's a moment. There's just space. There's just awareness. It's always here. Most people, right away, attention is into the mind. So now it's like, what am I going to do? What I need to take care of? All based on that I will get these things that will give me fulfillment, right? So some people get past the material relationship or get great. Like, my buddy was in the silver or the platinum section, Anthony Robbins. People got their money together, but they don't have the relationship part together, right? We see with celebrities, they have everything you can imagine and celebrity, and they're depressed and hating themselves. So to start to recognize that you have a conscious choice of your relationship to the moment, whether the moment is up or down, whether the good emotions there or the bad emotions are there.
It's a choice.
There's a choice. And right now, on autopilot, the addiction is to the mind. And that mind will always do, have, be is temporary, because then you got to do, have, be again and again and again without first giving your attention to where everything's coming from first.
So you wake up in the morning and you start thinking, man, I gotta get to work, and I gotta call those people. I gotta get those deals closed.
Yeah. Is this going to be okay? And then we go into what? So people right now in the world, what's going on right now? It's really important with COVID and stuff. What's going on right now is that the shadow is coming to light. Okay? Pedophilia. It's not like it wasn't there before. We didn't know about it, but now it's coming to light. Me Too movement. But what COVID brought is the unknowns in everyone's face. So here's a simple question that I ask you listening in. Do you know for sure what's going to happen next in life? Do you ever know for sure what's going to happen for sure next in life, Brad?
No.
And that's reality. That's the unknown every moment. The ego mind, the body mind, was a survival machine. And if we start to see that there's an operating system, like taking a brand new phone, pop it on the head, if that's really what the mind is, okay, if my attention's stuck with that, keeps me seeking, and if seeking is suffering, because I'm in seeking or fixing, I'm denying that I'm already okay. It means something's wrong with me. And the root shame, the root fear of everybody is that something's wrong with me. So the nerve of the mind is, I got to go do this to get it right. And then the other thing says, no, you can't. You suck. What's the matter with you? You're a piece of shit. And then that war is in the mind.
Yeah, but what if it isn't a war? What if you're agreeing with yourself? Like, I prefer to live decadently, and someone says, well, you shouldn't feel that way. No, I just do. So that's real.
Yeah.
But I don't question that.
Right. So you're not questioning that. That's different, right? You're not paying attention to the argument in that moment.
There is no argument.
Right. So,
I like it.
Exactly. So you're choosing it. That's the point.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. So you've come to the space of choosing. I'm sure if you went back earlier, maybe it's before the time you were homeless and stuff like that, growing up, when we're all growing up, we all have a sense, and you tell me if this is true, okay? Think about when you're young, if there's ever a moment where there's this void, like something's off, something's not quite right.
Sure, everybody
About
has
you, about society, about the world. So that void is really this covering of the unknown. The ego mind, just like, okay, if you were out in the jungle and it became late night, pitch black, and there's animals growling near you, you're going to feel fear in the body, right? So we're programmed to survive. We're a survival animal. You're going to try to run from that fight or flight and take care of yourself. And there's going to be fear there, and that fear would help you get away. It would be good. It wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing.
Exactly.
Survival instincts
Exactly.
are inherent in our being.
Ingrained in our being, exactly. But here's this. This is one that takes a lot of unpacking in a way, just to recognize what it really is that I'm saying, because it's very said simple. As much as your body mind is trying to protect its physical self, we all get that. So some people are listening in from a third world country or with economic issues right now. They're struggling for food, shelter, and clothing, right? Many people listening in have a lot of those basics met. So it's not like day to day, am I going to survive or die? But yet, just as if that's the case, like a gun's on you now, or anywhere you walk, you could hit a mine. The psyche, the ego mind, is constantly trying to protect its identity of the lead in the movie, that I am me. Even though that me changes throughout our lives, who I am, who I think I am, what life's about, changes. We're always protecting that because the fearful ego, the survival animal, is running from that void, doesn't want to fall over that cliff. Let alone that cliff's really a black hole.
Well, there's the unknown.
Right. So that unknown black hole.
I say that we fear the unknown because we're created by it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's awesome. That's right. Right. So if we can actually learn to actually stop believing the mind's ideas and interpretation of what is, right? That's the story. You blend what, the interpretation, the meaning. So how do I deal with emotion? Well, my whole life I've been told these are the negative emotions. These are good emotions. Even my body, the other ones feel better than those.
But that's indoctrination.
Exactly. And the animal's going to run from the uncomfortable, run from that void. So cover that void with as many ways of coping, dealing, succeeding, winning, identifying that I can to prove that I'm okay, but never going to that void, right? So the mind would say, being's not enough, or it's this, or it's a concept, or it's a thing, because the mind doesn't want to face that. The mind wants to keep chasing the hamster wheel, keep chasing the carrot.
Yeah, but if you ultimately mastered the technique, you could, not that you would, but you could.
Yeah.
Lay in a room forever staring out the window as happy as fucking shit.
Right, but
because you know what?
Yes.
I don't need.
True.
And I'm aware I don't need. I'm okay just being. And I'm being right now whether I want to be or not.
True.
I'm being.
True. So,
and in that being,
yeah,
I'm happy.
Exactly.
So therefore you could just be. And you don't need money, you don't need a fancy car, you don't need better clothes, you don't need kick-ass dinners at STK Steakhouse.
Because
you don't need alcohol, you don't need friends, you don't need respect, you don't need adoration, you don't need shit.
Exactly. Because now your freedom is not dependent upon something.
That's right.
Some separate thing from you is going to bring you wholeness and fulfillment.
Because people think that if you get those things, you'll then feel this way.
Exactly.
But that's I'm trying to get to the do, have, be. Most people are thinking do, have, be.
Yep.
Train that way.
Yep.
When they really need to be thinking be.
Right. But not the concept of be. So that's the trickery of the mind, right? So
yeah,
you're
but
saying
be, do, have is the right formula.
That's right. From being, from nothing comes everything.
So if somebody wants to succeed in life, you have to be, do, have. Explain be. What's step one? Be.
Yeah, and succeed at life in the full package, right?
Whatever you think success is.
Well, but not fully, right? Like most people, if you take a look what people really want, they really want fulfillment. They want to feel fulfilled and satisfied, truthfully.
Yeah.
Not temporary.
Well, again, they don't know that, but yes, I would agree.
At the core, right?
At the core, because people don't know that. You know what they say? Shit like I say. No, I want $1 billion fucking dollars. You know why?
Yeah.
Because I believe that with that $1 billion, I'll find my fulfillment and my happiness. Now, myself, I'm certain of that, but I'm also certain that I don't need the $1 billion to have it. Why? Because I've already got it. Like I'm already happy. I'm already fine. Like in other words, if I never accomplish another thing, I'm good. I'm gravy. You know, I wake up with gratitude.
Exactly.
I do this thing called $1 Million Morning.
That's right.
It's how I serve it up to people. $1 Million Morning. I just say, look, if I gave you $1 million not to wake up tomorrow, would you take it? People are like, well, of course not. Okay, so what you're saying is waking up tomorrow morning, which is going to happen, is worth more than $1 million to you? Well, obviously. Well, then how come when you wake up, you're not acting as if someone just handed you $1 million? Because if you freaking act as if you were handed $1 million, think about how you would feel right now if I handed you $1 million. Tax-free, no strings attached. Really, it's all yours. No kidding. No shit. It's yours. It's go do. People start fucking going, well, I'd feel relieved. I'd feel excited. I'd feel exactly. So how come every morning you get something more valuable than $1 million?
That's right.
And you don't feel the same way. You don't have those emotions. Why? Well, because what you're saying is true. Because people wake up and they're stuck in the past. Oh, that fucking Brian Zimberg, I'm going to get him. Oh, this girl told me no last night, so now I got to figure out how I need to win. Why? Because my friends are going to think I'm a dick if I'm not winning. And it's like, fuck.
Yes.
None of that shit's real.
Exactly.
What is real? Real is you just woke up, bro.
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden you shift your perspective and instead of dreading going to work, it's like it becomes an opportunity. Exactly. Instead of challenges and pain looking like challenges and pain, they start to look like freaking opportunity.
Yes.
Like everything's opportunity. And all of a sudden you don't have to work out. You get to work out. You start to get to learn. You start to get to go, hang out with Zimberg more so I can, it's all opportunity.
I get to come be here with you dropping bombs right now.
Yeah, but most people, they'll never reach that awareness right there.
Well, so that is kind of what I take a stand for, okay? I think that the struggle, whether it's with anxiety, stress, frustration, trying to hold it together, depression, knowing that you're not living up to.
I've turned this fucking thing off 10 times. How does it keep turning on?
Well, it's part of what's going on here, I guess.
Must be my booty flipping the switch.
Your booty calling.
Dude, before I forget, and I know I'm going to get a bunch of people saying, let him talk, stop interrupting. People think I have a problem interrupting people. And I think the reason I interrupt is because as I'm listening, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm interviewing for them.
Yeah.
I'm getting information for them. Here's what they've asked me to ask you, and I'm just a facilitator to get the information to them.
Yeah.
No, dude. This is for me. This conversation's I'm listening to and is making me think they just get to watch.
Right.
So if they're watching and they're talking about, man, he's doing a much better job not interrupting people. No, I'm not. I'm still interested in what the person was saying to begin with. Because if I interrupt, it's mainly because you say something and I go, oh, something else I need to know.
Yeah, I do that naturally. I kind of interrupt myself, but I'll usually always come back to the point. So it makes a deeper point. And that's like a trust of flow in that, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't. I stop you. Yeah. Why? Because I want to know something else.
Which is great training from you. And of course, my course and the program is very well thought out, very simple execution, because what it does is it shows you, like you said, I'm pointing out the process that's already occurring.
Yes, but the be do have.
Okay, so be do have is that the next evolution of being a human being is to live from being.
So how does one do that in a nutshell?
By starting to recognize that your core attention is on autopilot with the survival mind of do. By recognizing what is the mind and how does it keep my attention stuck with it? Because if being stuck with it is what keeps you in the paradigm of separation.
So if I want to have a big house and fancy lifestyle, I want to have.
Yeah.
Then I need to do.
Yeah.
I want to do.
If you want to do,
then you need to be.
You want right. Normally, people think they have to do to have, but that do to have is because their attention is with the mind.
And that's what I want you to explain. The do. So and then the have and then the be. Meaning, if I do this work,
right,
I'll get this car, and then I'll be cool.
Exactly.
Right? Right?
Exactly. So it's already based on a postponement of being happy.
So most people are thinking, I have to do this work, this digital marketing, I got to do this so I can have this, so I can be this.
That's right. The greatest shift happened to me after all that spiritual seeking, all those experiences, the highs and all that, was the recognition that And when I said I don't believe my mind at all, was to recognize that all those things come and go, and they never give you lasting fulfillment.
Ever.
But lasting fulfillment, like you just said, is right here.
It's already.
So if we can have the skill to shift free from whatever the mind's saying, that 90% of regurgitation from the past, 70% negative, science says. So if we're caught up in the outskirts of a hurricane.
Let's call it the hogwash.
Yeah, the hogwash. So if you're in the outskirts of the hurricane.
The hogwash.
The hogwash, the chaos, the no order, the battling, the filth. Your mind telling you you're a piece of shit. No, I'm not. Proving yourself. Eat the Cheetos.
The noise.
Again. The noise. You're. My husband sucks. What's wrong with me? I'm fucking up my children. No, I'm good. I got it all together. You go through your good high, and then mind smacks you back again. I'll read the next thing. I'll do the next stuff. It's all seeking. It's all based on a postponement of fulfillment. But if we can have our core attention shift from being stuck in mind, in the separation paradigm, survival paradigm, but actually to the direct moment-to-moment access or recognition of that gratitude of life being given to you, of receiving the joy, the love, the beauty, the expansion that you are alive. But again, not because a belief says, oh, I should be grateful I'm alive, like a mantra on the wall. Those are great. Those are stepping stones, right? Say your affirmations, those kind of things. Great. But the next evolution is where we stop having to believe the mind and we start to trust in this sense of our connectivity of what we really are. We start to discover who we really are and we start to live from that.
Is it boring?
No. So is it boring for a acorn to become an oak tree?
It might be. It takes a long motherfucking time.
Is it boring for a caterpillar to become a butterfly?
Could. I don't know. I'd have to be the caterpillar.
But what would determine if it's boring or not? So to me, there's no such thing as boredom.
Well, see, that's where I'm going because I fear if I get too Zen-like and too like, oh man, because everything you're saying I agree with, and I know technically that's the case. So that's why I said technically I could sit and stare out a window and be fine if I was mastering what you're saying. Right. But I don't want to just sit out a window. Like in other words, I do want that decadence. Okay, so
to me, in the modern world right now, the realization of this, it becomes the greater expression of who you are. The optimal of who you are is what you will express. We're not off in some cave.
I know, but I do want this money. People are always like,
okay,
dude, don't worry about the money and don't worry about being. I do want it though.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you can learn to have a choice in the moment and not be run by the program of fear that has you to survive to get it someplace else in that paradigm, when you recognize being first, it's like give your allegiance to God first. Thy will be done, right? In a Christian vein or a Catholic vein, right? Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within. Thy will be done. So instead of buying into the manufactured, trained me that's based on the past and all the programming, even my rebellion against that identity, that lead in the movie, I turn to trust that which is allowing frickin' everything to occur in the entire world, the truest power, not into the concept of what God is, but into the direct experience that I am. Right? So in the Old Testament, Abraham, where are you? I am here.
Well, I am is a powerful, powerful statement.
When God's asked his name is ultimately I am that I am. Have been, is, and always will be.
Be.
So the mind's concept idea of being can be a thing I want to hide out in. So spiritual people get into that place where I can just be in this place of peace. Now that was better than maybe depression and a life of hell, but they're avoiding the unknown again.
Do you realize that if you take I am, right?
Yeah.
I am that I am. I am that I am. This is what's called a Haya.
Haya, yeah.
And you break this down to the very basics with the Haya, knowing that that's a Haya. And by the way, when you ever see karate guys break a board, they'll go Haya.
Exactly.
Because Haya is basically what's supposed to give power to the word to guarantee its manifestation. So I am literally breaks down to be. So basically when Moses asked God, who should I say sent me?
That's right.
He said, be.
That's right.
Be.
That's right.
That's what he said.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy? And that's what it is. Be.
That's right. So the point is that the mind will always spiral back. So how can this be practical for anyone, okay? If things aren't working out in your life right now, you don't like your money situation, you don't like your relationship situation, you don't like your job situation, you have a dream that you don't follow, whatever it is, whatever your struggle is.
Feel empty.
Feel empty, you feel disconnected, you feel alone, you're sick of it.
There's something missing.
Yeah. Or even if you're escalated to a point where you know how to get beyond the something missing because you've done enough work on yourself, or you can rah yourself beyond that, right? Maybe you're kicking ass.
Yeah, it's like me. But at the core, that's why I said you're either pregnant or you're not. That's like me. Like right now, I'm aware to a point where it's like, dude, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I also still feel there's something missing. Why?
That's right.
Because again, I haven't reached that yet.
Yeah, but the thing is, so here's the thing. It's just a word, but the mind can never get us there.
I know, but I believe that I want it.
Exactly.
Meaning, maybe that's the last thing I need to break.
Well, that's the thing. So if everything's coming from this being from the creation, from the creator, from the Big Bang happening now, right? From the unknown into the known, which is, by the way, at that edge of the unknown is what? All great what? Invention, creation, art, all from that space. So COVID right now, unknown is in everyone's face. People are like, what the hell is going to happen next? Like I was saying, but the truth is, since you don't know what's going to happen next, the mind, the survival, the fear of that, I'll be destroyed. The me will be destroyed. As if I'm about to step on a mine. As if the animal's about to eat me. So, my only training to deal with that at this point is the trained separate animal, which, by the way, a beautiful animal, human being. I got to be a person. So did you. Got to know people, got to live life, got to do the dance of this life. But to actually be aware that who you are is not based on those ideas and paradigms anymore. So when you see those 5 main paradigms that I've seen, right? Or you just start to see the paradigms that are holding you addicted to mind, being aware of them is enough. So the idea that meditation is I have to stop my thoughts, it's complete nonsense. It's just a conceptualization of what people thought it was, or what's even wrong about the Eastern idea of it.
Makes me want to just say, screw it.
Exactly.
I'm going to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
I'm going to live a life of decadence. Why? Because, man, this is only a brief instant that we're here.
Yeah.
Because ourselves as a being is much bigger than one lifetime.
Exactly. So if life is always based on the getting it together, then you're never together.
And never will be.
It's always based on getting there. You're never going to be there.
So it's almost like a contradiction.
Right.
In and of itself, life. Like, hey, if you really want to get there, you can't give up. But in order to get there, you must give up.
Exactly. That's the paradigm.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not that being doesn't include doing. You see, the conceptualization of being then is it's like this or it's that. No, you'll be more you with the tenacity, the fire of who you are, the more you let go into that, because that's what's giving rise to you.
Well, I'm going to have you back on another episode. We're going to try to figure out how to find ourselves. Because, again, right now, we're at an hour 13. These are supposed to be 30, 45 minutes. I always go an hour. Sometimes I'll go an hour over.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need to have you back because, dude, this would be a 3-hour session because, number one, I want people to learn how to find themselves. Can they do that by looking you up and working with you off dropping bombs?
Yeah. If you go to brianmarc.com/private, I even will open up some times to be able to meet with me. My book, Stop, Smile, Breathe, Be, will give you basic clarity on that. And some trainings that I'm coming up with will be available soon that will take you through some of that process. But the truth is, this is the simplicity of what it comes down to. Forget all the philosophical part. You can learn to shift your attention from thought, from your mind, to that core self, to the zone, to the flow.
And you can use that new power, because I call it a power.
Yeah.
Because you know how people get pissed? Like this morning, dude, I was getting pissed. Because people were telling me on a post, hey, let that person talk. You're interrupting. This would have been a great video, but you've interrupted. And for some reason, that triggers me. Why? Because I think to myself, dude, if that to me the same thing is they're scooping up a big, gold pan filled with sand, and they see all these freaking shiny nuggets of gold.
Yeah.
But they're annoyed with the sand that's in the bucket.
Exactly.
And for some reason that triggers me. I don't know why, but I need to find out.
So I think that trigger is actually a gift, right? So if we stop being dependent upon what our mind says about a moment, and like you say, choosing happiness, you don't have to like that. But if you choose that and you start to see that the reaction is based on what? The pattern of like dissecting or a problem. There's a problem there that has to be solved then. It's a comparison, reflection upon who you think you are, what others think of us, right? Having to look right or it's based on image, it's based on concept. So we could see beyond that and just drop that and not have that run. But we can also see that occurring, be aware of it, not have to get rid of your thoughts, not to change it, just be aware of it. The awareness of it, now you're not stuck in it, are you? If you're not aware of it, you're not in it. But the reactivity is happening because there's something, what I would say, that's where like infinity is meeting being human. It's where the rubber hits the road, where the gems, to make gems more smooth, they put them in a bag and they rub them together. They make each other more smooth from their rough edges. So the opportunity there is if you want to become very aware, instead of trying to fix, alter, or do it with the mind, since the mind can't get us to there, the greater depth is from what is really your gut, your being, your heart center. Then I can finally not see what my mind's meaning is about that emotion, see what the irritation is, see what the trip is. Yeah, I could philosophize all that, I could therapize all that, or by seeing that, I can drop right into the core of where it's uncomfortable. And if you can be with that discomfort, that's the fire of like eternal life, like the Big Bang happening now, that's propelling you into life from being into doing.
Life, which might also be called experience.
Direct experience. And that's it right there. So what can you trust for sure? I'll leave you with this. Can you trust what comes and goes? So if thoughts come and go, emotions come and go, experiences come and go.
People come and go.
People come and go, how we look changes. But to discover what is never changing, the center of the storm. Right now, you're dealing with your negative thoughts, your negative life, the things you like or don't like, what your mind says about you in the storm. But the clarity can only be found in the center. And to be able to access that which is already connected, already free, what you'll discover is you discover being. It's not just being. Forget all that's concept of the mind again. There's no end to a deeper discovery of that. You discover not just peace, but power, self-expression, creativity, aliveness, vibrancy. So then it's about becoming. You discover the force of becoming. What drives us into these quantum leaps in life, right? From like telephone to computer. Right, these jumps that have us jumping. And right now, the next jump is that instead of operating from mind, we start to really get our connectivity, our collaboration. So you say you stand for the end of poverty. You'll be a billionaire and you can give it to people, right? I stand for the end of suffering, but through consciousness, because the people that want peace are against the people that want war. So if the narrative, like the 1% is getting us, they're in control. No, the first control system is your mind. Telling you what's right, wrong, who you should be and not. Right? The Bob Marley line, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, none but yourself can free your mind. So are you here right now? What does it take to notice that you are? Now notice right now, if you chose to just notice this with me, Brad, and anyone listening, just right now notice the sense that you are here. Notice how your breath right now just keeps happening on its own. You don't have to do a breath exercise. Just notice on the inhale and exhale just are occurring. You start to align with this moment that's free from the perception and the interpretation. Just the aliveness of this moment. So you just start to keep noticing that you are. And in that, it's like a whirlpool will pull you in. Because that's what we're meant to evolve from. The purpose of our life is us now. It always has been. The idea that you failed, did it right, did it wrong, was all seeds planted in your past experience to have you evolve now to a point where what you were created for, your unique DNA, is ready to boom into the world. And so I'll end this on a dirty note too here. So if with this hand you have gangrene, and it's coming up towards your heart. So it feels like you don't know gangrene, like it's an infection, right? So it's coming to your heart and you die. The infection gets to your heart, you're going to die. And on the other hand, you're masturbating. Now, a monkey probably may finish the pleasure before it gets to the hospital. We all know some humans that maybe will take a couple of shots, have a bear, and continue on the way with the pleasure until they right? But we're all trying to fill that unknown, that void our entire life, food, alcohol, success, whatever it is. Because the mind just wants to know that I'm safe. But the unknown is life. And once we can really live from that space, then we don't need anything other to define us. And that's calling you forth. That's already implanted in you. So the butterfly has imaginal cells.
But then does that get you the money?
Gets you everything.
Because that's what I want people to understand. Because
it gets you everything.
When I'm listening to you, I kind of think like, oh, well then I'm going to end up with no money because you're telling me that I don't need it and I need it to feel validated and all this other shit. But having that power will get you what you want. You will just realize that you don't need it to be happy.
Right. So therefore you're free of a thing that determines your happiness. So now you're starting to receive life and live from now.
And the very thing that's holding you back.
Exactly. No longer running from the fear. The fear paradigm, the survival paradigm is what we're transcending.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't have to run me. The passion, my why, all the things you've all learned in the past from Anthony Robbins and all that stuff will click more and more as you learn how to, at any moment, to access the most profound stillness and peace of the greatest meditation, but in any moment. That's going to make you, more vibrant, more alive, because you recognizing that is you recognizing that, not Buddha, not Jesus, not someone else. It's occurring through you. So the gangrene on this arm, so what would you do? You would
chop off the arm.
Well, you would chop off the arm, or you go to the hospital and get it fixed before you finish masturbating?
I'd chop off the arm.
You just chop off your arm and lose your arm?
Nope. I'd chop off my arm so the gangrene can't kill me, and then I'd finish masturbating.
That's hilarious, but you really wouldn't. You would take care of your arm. You wouldn't come home to your kids without an arm, right?
Well, again, depends.
So the point is, if we all get that we're really in this together, collaboratively, because the me is not running the show, and your natural self-expression, abundantly alive and vibrant, the gifts and the talents that God gave in you are flourishing, and I'm trusting, not from a fear paradigm anymore, but from a natural truth of the moment. And it's not about a concept anymore. And then what will we do together? So the point is,
I'd be able to finish masturbating while a bunch of people fix my arm.
Sure, exactly. So
because we'd be working symbiotically.
That's right. So the kid starving over there, or the horrible things going on in the world right now, people are saying that's bad, that's wrong, we should change that. Some people are stepping up for it. But once we get that kid over there is my arm about to be chopped off, and we don't just focus on the me, then all of a sudden we're about the unity, we're about the us. And you're still an individual. You're still a sovereign individual. There is no DNA like yours. So life, God, consciousness is evolving, growing, expanding. That's what I told the rabbi. They understood there's a divine randomness to novelty that expands the glue, that holds the pieces of the bridge together, that allows the bliss to grow. God is growing. You are God growing. Life is happening through you. There's no mistake in any of it. Now it's time to become aware of what's really going on. So forget just woke culture. We're getting real what's going on. Awaken. Recognize that you aren't your thoughts. Learn how to stop believing your thoughts altogether, and you will freshly discover the infinite self that you are, that is full of surprise, power, that in every emotion you were avoiding, there's a treasure. And the next level of how we can function and what's possible for all of us, what will we take care of together when we all know that? What disease, what problem can't we all focus on together and take care of if the me isn't the only thing that's leading? So of course the money's there. Right? Anthony Robbins talks about the doors are already open, right? When you align yourself with certainty and the doorway, then all the doors open. Mm-hmm. So that's the given. But it's the choice of our relationship to that, to the money, to any of it. Do you have to do it from doing first? You've discovered that you can do it from being first, which is more enjoyable, which is more peaceful, which allows you to not feel as drained, having to seek it and chase it, or trusting in being you.
Being it.
Yeah.
Doing it, and then having it.
That's right. So doing will still occur. It's not the concept that I'll zen out and be. That's all. And people are stuck in that, which is why I want to break the whole idea.
It's construct.
It's a construct, and that construct won't serve you into the evolution of the greatest next expression of who you can be in your life, with your loved ones, with yourself, with your own. It can be the feminine goddess. It can be the masculine man, right? Whatever that is, that fire within you that you know where you play small that holds you back. So you can learn to reprogram that, get better at that, believe better in yourself. But if it's, you're going to go do the next practice, do the next training, do the next thing, and you're just back in that same trip. But the mind can't fill the unknown ever.
So here's what I would tell people. Just go to brianmarc.com.
Yeah, /private. That's where we can really talk.
/private. Follow him at Brian Marc Zimberg on Instagram. Go get his book, Stop, Smile, Breathe, Be. Google his ass. Find him wherever he is. And dude, you know, appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Brad. I really appreciate you.
I'm going to have you back for a second interview.
I'll do that. You know, all this time I jumped out, left the family, Corona and all. I'm here in Vegas because really honored and grateful to meet you, to be here, to reach out. Because what I want everyone to understand is if you go to my stuff and it seems too spiritual for you, F that, forget that. This is literally as simple. It's not esoteric. It's not spiritual. You can just learn to access that now, and you will live in clarity, greater love, greater joy, and all those things that we want later on, they're here. So just claim yourself. Take responsibility for yourself. Show up.
We'll end it with that, folks. Share it out. Keep it real.